If you are a caretaker, an eldest daughter, or you're just helping a parent declutter that doesn't want to declutter, they're struggling to let go, and you want to do it compassionately, you want to do it without fighting anymore, this is for you. So I'm going to share 5 different approaches that are always going to be holistic. That's always the vibe, but they're from the place of compassion, right? Compassion and care. That's where we aim. We always aim to approach things that way. So now some of these tips that I'm sharing, I'm going to share 4 compassionate. All of the tips are helpful, compassionate, valuable, and I want to be super transparent. The last tip I'm sharing is from my own virtual organizing program, Abode, and so I want to just be super open about that, so you're aware that it's not like a hard sell, but I do want to offer it because my program and my meetings are a resource to you and your loved one. So that'll be the last tip though. The first gentle, compassionate approach to helping a parent or aging loved one declutter is you don't help them. Now, when I first started my organizing business, Organize for Love, I had so many people tell me, oh my God, I know my aunt would need your help. Oh my God, can you help my mom, my uncle? So many people would tell me how they want me to help their loved one. And my response would always be like, do they want help? Do they want help? Do they want to change? Are they ready? But most importantly, like, do they want help? And I think it's a really hard pill to swallow, and it almost feels maybe cold. It almost feels like you're giving up, or it feels not like you're not being in service or you don't care about them. But the first way to help someone that doesn't want help is to not help them. Is to not. Because what ends up happening is you force the change that you want to see for their life, for their home, you force that onto them. And that's where a lot of the conflict comes in. You can only lead the water to the horse. You can only lead the horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink the water. Like, this is so important. And the reason why when I first started Organize for Love, I knew I wanted to emphasize this lesson, this point for folks, because I've been there. I've been in so many situations where I have kind of overimpose what I wanted someone's space to feel like, because I'm like, oh my God, I see all of your problems are directly connected to your space. If you could just do this, if you just clean this up, if you just organize this. Like, I've been there. I remember I've been there. And so I'm gonna tell a story of what happened when I decided to clean up a roommate's room. But it rarely ends in the way that you want it to end. And that's the goal. We want our loved ones to live in a peaceful, orderly, just warm, inviting, organized space. And forcing them to do it is not the way for you to get to that end goal. So the first tip is to not help them. The second compassionate tip is plant the seed, let them know, be very clear that they know you want to help them, and that when they're ready to receive help, you are there to help them. So planting the seed, letting them know, I'm here to help, this is what we can do together, and then let go of the outcome. Let go of the possibility of their home ever being clean and organized. Let go of the possibility of it ever being decluttered and clear. Let go of that outcome, because it's very possible you may want that outcome way more than they do. They could be content, and the pressure from you, or the pressure from you, and the hope and the expectation may be so much, and it may be so different from what they want. And so you want to leave the door open, but you also want to be clear about, like, your boundaries. Like, hey, I want you to get organized. I really think you should get organized, right? So we're not being passive about it. You want to tell your loved ones and be upfront about what you want. I care about you. It hurts me that your space is it hurts me that you are living this way, and I want you to get organized. Plant the seed. This is what I think is possible for you. this is what I want from you. This is what I hope that you eventually want from yourself. Put that in their hearts, in their minds, plant that seed, and then let go of the outcome that they would ever take the bait and bite that and actually say, okay, let's do it. You have to let that go, because again, it's going to create, you're going to have, and you probably already experiencing so much friction, so much resentment, and just frustration of trying to convince them to want what you want for them. And so that's why you just have to plant the seed. Let them know that you love them, you care about them, and you're here to help them, but let go of the outcome, right? And so the other part is what we're talking about is boundaries. I'm here to help you. I no longer want to, go back and forth about what is good for you and what's not good for you, and be explicit about how you are going to help them. The other piece about boundaries when you're trying to help an agent or just an elderly parent, or if you're a caretaker, change their space, it's important for them to be ready to be a student and to be ready to change. That is the most important. And I know there's like this saying that I don't like, where people say like people don't change. I struggle with that one a lot, because I've seen people, I've changed myself, and I get the concept of that as like the core of people don't change, but you have to allow people to change at the rate that they're going to change, not at the rate you want them to change. And so they may come around to being ready to listen to you, to be ready to do things in a way that aligns with where you're on the same page, but they have to get there. You can't will them to get there, right? You can't force them to get there. You can't convince them to get there. They have to get to the place where they're ready to be a student and they're ready to change. This is key for the both of y'all. So that's the second tip. This is my favorite compassionate tip. So you want to collaborate with grace. So when your loved one, when your elderly parent, when you're a caretaker and the person you're working with is ready to change their environment, they're saying, I can no longer live like this. I no longer want to live like this. I literally can't live like this anymore. This is a health hazard. When they get to that point when they're ready and they come to you and they want to change, you have to collaborate with grace. You have to have a level of superhuman patience and love, because love and patience equal the boundaries that you're going to need, because you can expect they're going to be ready, but you can expect that they're going to be resistant like no other. There's going to be possibly more resistant. You're going to question like, are they even ready? But once someone comes to you and says that they're ready, they have to, whether they use the words ready, but once someone is ready, they're still going to be resistant. They're still going to push back. They're still going to struggle to let go of things. It's going to still feel like, oh, they're actually not ready. But once they are and they show that they're willing, you have to allow them. What's the Mel Robbins, the let them theory? You have to let them be stubborn. You have to let them be resistant. Collaborating with grace is a very key approach to helping them declutter, because you have to allow them to arrive at their own conclusions on their own timeline. So remember the other tip about like let go of the outcome? These all kind of build on one another. But once you let go of the outcome, then it's just about, you know what, I'm going to be here and collaborate and be as graceful as possible. This is really, really important. A lot of people try to actually skip to this step, and they're trying to collaborate, but they're not doing it in a way that's graceful, and they don't have the patience. You most likely are struggling to be patient because you're so close to the situation, and you see maybe you're living in it or not living in it. You see how it's affecting them. And when you care about someone and you love them so much, and you see how their problems are impacting them, you hear them complaining about things, venting about things, and you're like, well, your home is this way, that's why this is happening. And you're like, you see the solution so clearly. They may not be there yet, or maybe they are there yet, but they're not expressing it externally. Maybe it's happening on the inside. A lot of times we don't know how God is changing people within and what's happening. It's very possible the things that you the ways you want them to think about things, it's very possible they're already on the brink of thinking about it that way. They just haven't verbalized it yet, or they're still processing arriving there. So that's why when you collaborate, that's why collaborating with grace, is really just that. Like, I know you're ready, so I'm here, but I'm going to be graceful about how we move through this process. And so, yeah, let them hold on to things, let them be stubborn and resistant. Now, that's what they're doing. What you're going to do, very important, you have to be very clear on your boundaries and what you're not going to do. So yes, we're going to help our loved one, and you're going to create a plan, and you're going to stick to the plan. You are going to stick to the plan. You're going to say, okay, you're going over there and doing that. I'm going to let you do that, but I'm not going to fall into this trap and go down there with you. You can go there. So I'll give you an example. So say, okay, the plan for today is we need to organize. We're just going through photos. We're going through photos, and that's the only thing we're going to do. There's thousands of photos. We can't get to anything else until we get to photos. That's the plan that y'all agreed on. And of course you can deviate and things change. But when they start deviating and they're super stubborn about going back to the plan, be like, okay, let's reconvene tomorrow. Let's reconvene next week. It's not about being like revoking your support and your help, but it's saying like, and it's always with grace, always with love, always with like, we have this amount of time to declutter these photos. This is how much time that I have. I have 2 hours of my day to help you go through these photos. You're deviating from that. That's totally fine. I'm gonna come back when you're done going through these documents. I'll come back tomorrow. So this is how you kind of collaborate with grace. You give boundaries and you give timelines, you give constraints, so you're not leaning too much into their process. So I started talking a bit about the fourth way to help an aging parent or an elderly loved one compassionately declutter. And so I talked about boundaries, and this part is really, really important mostly for you. You want to create boundaries around a timeline, around restrictions, around your limitations, and create parameters to help you track your progress, to help you stay within a boundary. So when things go out of the bounds, you're able to refer back to what you have the capacity for, what your parameters are, what your capacity, what your limitations are. A lot of times is sometimes people, I'm ready, your loved one is like, I'm ready to change. I want to change my environment. And often this happens in the beginning. They just kind of want to do the same thing that they've been doing, but on the surface, almost, look like they're doing something differently. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes time to actually go into the real change. Sometimes you need like those first few, days, weeks, or month of just kind of like, I'm ready to change, but like not really, but like I'm ready to talk about changing. And so what that surface could look like is, again, doing the same thing that they've been doing, looking through photos, not really doing the hard work of letting go or processing letting go or talking about why they're not letting go, kind of staying in the same place. And so the boundaries and the parameters and the timeline, the limitations that you're going to give is going to say like, I know you can't do this on your own, and I want to help you. Here's the time that I have allotted for this. Because you don't want to give unlimited time to do this, right? You want to say, okay, in this day, I have Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to do this, right? You have your own life too, but you want to create those parameters so they know that they have to use your support wisely. I think sometimes we undermine the importance of creating boundaries around capacity when it comes to family support. Like, it's super healthy to create healthy parameters, right? So we're not overextending ourselves, burning out, and honestly forgetting the bottom line. So this is very important. Create boundaries, parameters, timelines, limitations, capacity. Communicate all of this to them so they know what you are coming with. And then it's important that you reinforce these boundaries so when they go over it, you pull back. Like, oh, when you do this, this happens. This is key. It's very key. Okay, so now to the last tip. Now, the last tip I was telling you about is getting a seat at my kitchen table. So not my literal kitchen table, but my virtual one. So I've shared a bit about my virtual organizing program, my membership community abode, where I help people create a soft place to land, but also learn how to organize in a practical way and work through all the ways in which you're not letting go. So you're not just learning how to organize, you're also learning how to holistically look at the things in your life that are not working, right? So all of it is happening at the same time within this structured 12-week program. And so I want to invite you and your loved one to a seat at kitchen table. And so it is a private meeting that we have each month within my program, but I'm opening it up to non-members. So you all can not just get a taste of the program, but really you can pay, and there is $25, so you can pay to sit in on these meetings, see the stories of members, hear real life organizing stories, share your own stories, ask questions. If you can't join the program, that's fine. You can just get this one-off seat, one-off moment and experience to get a middle person to help you see things differently and to approach how you're doing things differently. So that is all 5 compassionate tips on how to help an aging or elderly parent declutter. I hope these were helpful. Please share which one was the most helpful, any of the tips that you have tried before, and like, subscribe, follow, and I'll see you at the kitchen table.